Hi everyone, it's Bonita from Pennies to Dollars, and today we're going to talk about clutter and the overwhelm that it makes us feel. And there's actually 7 steps to overwhelm, and we don't realize this because we get so overwhelmed and we don't know how to get control of that. And I'm going to go over the 7 steps today and talk about how they relate to clutter. So the first step is dread. So as we are dreading that we have these things to do, we kind of go into denial and we kind of resist the fact that we have all of this stuff that we need to go through. And during this dread, it builds anxiety, it builds shame, embarrassment that we've let it go this long, maybe some resentment that it isn't all of our stuff, maybe it belongs to some of our family members, some aggravation that this is on our to-do list, some anger at ourselves for letting it get to this point, and maybe even worried about the sorrow or the grief or the bad memories or the guilt that we're going to feel when we have to go through these things. And so as this is all starting to build, a lot of times it's just underlying. We don't even know that it's there. It's just deep inside of us, and the thought of it brings us dread, and we don't realize all these feelings go into that dread. And then there's the indecision, which is step 2. The indecision that, I have heirlooms to go through. I have keepsakes. I have things from my childhood. How am I going to deal with these things? And we go to the hardest case scenario in our heads of all these things that we're going to have to make decisions about. And we worry about those things when really those things are some of the last things that we declutter in the process. We don't jump to the hardest thing first, but our mind jumps to the hardest things first, and that makes us have indecision just right off the bat. And then the third step is that we just have too much to do. We stay so busy. We're not getting anything accomplished. Sometimes we're just like chickens with our heads cut off running in circles, which is what we say out here in the country. But we volunteer, we get busy with our kids, with our spouse, and we find all of these things to do that we overplan our calendar, and our to-do list gets so big that is the last thing we are worried about, is that clutter. It's just not a priority. And by it not being a priority, it continues to grow and it continues to be bigger, and it continues to build that dread and that overwhelm that's starting to build. And then the fourth step is procrastination. And that is where we are just simply avoiding the task. We would rather not do it. We push all of these items to the side, just like we push them into the corner. We push them into the corner of our mind because we don't want to deal with it. We have better things to do with our time. Why do we want to spend our time or a couple of hours doing that? And then the fifth step is that we just can't say no. We can't say no to our problems. We can't say no to our priorities. We can't say no to the things that are taking up our time. And so we start resetting priorities that have nothing to do with that stuff. And we end up keeping ourselves so busy with all these things we can't say no to that take priority. I heard a lecture the other day that someone said, I don't have time to deal with clutter today. I had set some time aside to do that, but I need to get some work done on my boat. And so see how we set things at a higher priority than our clutter. That just isn't important. That isn't ever on our to-do list as something important. And so then the sixth thing is we stick to what we know. So when we do have time, we stick to doing the dishes, we stick to doing the yard, we stick to doing the laundry, because it's what we know and it's what we do. And what we do isn't sorting through that clutter. That just isn't a normal thing that we do. So we escape the unknown, or what is difficult, by doing what we know that we do all the time. And that way we feel like we're making progress because we've done the yard work, we've done the dishes, we've done the laundry, but we really haven't made progress with any of that stuff. And then the last step, the seventh step, is our unfocused attention. All of these things lead to us having our attention on something else. We see no progress on that stuff, so we want to look at the stuff that we see progress on. And it begins to really build up that we have so much overwhelm from the silent to-do list that we become aware that these stages have just built to the point that now we are just so overwhelmed with this junk. We are so overwhelmed. What are we gonna do? So again, we want to ignore it, but it's in here. We feel it in here. And the only way to feel it is to know that these steps are there and to try to stop those steps when you're feeling them, because they're just gonna keep building and building until you are overwhelmed. So I hope this helps a little bit to kind of know the steps on what we're feeling, even though we're not acknowledging that we're feeling that way about this stuff. It is there. And when we finally face that overwhelm and know we have to go through this stuff, there is a release to that. There is some feeling of progress and a feeling of, hey, I'm actually getting somewhere. So stop that overwhelm next time and make time in your schedule to try to declutter something. Have a great day, and thanks for watching.